Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here in Lower Manhattan, today, Monday, February 17th, 2025. Now we're waiting on a number of things. Of course, on Friday there was the filing by Emil Bove of the Justice Department in Washington, seeking a nolle prosequi to dismiss the case against Eric Adams. Now, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District resigned. So did one of the prosecutors on the case. The other two have not resigned, but they did withdraw from the case. We've been working nonstop on a project about the case because there's a lot of history here. Emil Bove left the office in the end of 2001 into 2002. There were some issues around the Nejad case. We're exploring that. It seems that also he was the supervisor of that unit. May not have been the one directly on it, but he is the one who did sign a nolle prosequi of Nejad for Iranian sanctions violations. But there was in the case of Miles Guo, his co-defendant Yvette Wang, Bove filed a notice of appearance to represent her, and those, many of whom are still at the SDNY, filed a number of affidavits saying he should be disqualified from the case for having worked on the underlying investigation of Miles Guo. Things got very acrimonious, and I think it has something to do with these days' events. And there's a project that we have coming about the Sovereign District. Watch this space. Now, we also on Friday covered the oral arguments in the case about the Treasury access to data by DOGE. The TRO remains in effect. Some new case law was put in over the weekend, but still there'll be a ruling by Judge Vargas, and we'll report it as soon as it comes out, for sure. Let's cross. So we're both on that. Also, Judge Ho hasn't ruled, by the way, on the nolle prosequi. Will he have a hearing? Will he say that he doesn't accept it? There was a letter written in, actually, by, well, I forgot for a moment, by Myrie. He's a candidate for mayor who we put on this broadcast because he did a stakeout in front of City Hall with Dan Goldman. And that was on the 10th of February. And on the 11th, he wrote to Judge Ho saying that the case should not be dismissed. That letter is not in the docket, by the way, nor is the letter we submitted seeking to unseal a document in the vault. But we'll just have to see. Also, Carl McCall, longtime New York State pol, has written an open letter calling for Mario Cuomo to jump into the race. Cuomo has sort of pretty much said, like, thanks, bro. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that. Now, on the hype docket, there were actually filings over the weekend in Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. She has these subpoenas to, I believe, to a number of people, third parties. Baldoni has moved to suppress, saying that they're abusive and overextensive. She said, no, it's just for kind of metadata. But he says no, and put in a filing on Sunday saying this is actually for substantive communications. So it's a big slugfest that we'll continue to cover, as we will continue to cover the United Nations, where this morning we wrote two scoops, one on ITU and corruption, officials going on ski vacations on public dollars and with public cars. But the real thing is sexual harassment at the United Nations. There's a case called Sophocleus, in which it was admitted in the UN Dispute Tribunal, from which Inner City Press has been banned, even from virtually covering it. We covered it. They demanded that we destroy evidence that we received from sources in the case. We refused, and now we can't sign into it anymore, nor can we go into the building. But Sophocleus shows just how corrupt Antonio Guterres' UN has become, where a person convicted, found to have committed sexual harassment, was basically just demoted one post and barred from promotions for 3 years. Now they're seeking to seal the whole thing. We're seeking to open it up. We'll be putting in questions, and we're waiting to be readmitted to the UN to ask these questions in person. To be continued.